Yeah, so potentially there's a couple theories. There could be Antarctica and ice, a continent, and then an ice wall as well.
Tune, was there an ice wall?
I have video evidence of an ice wall so far. I have a channel on my,
There
with
was
my
no ice
YouTube.
wall.
Oh, I didn't think so. You know,
Yeah, you got someone who was right
MC
there.
Tune, he went, yeah.
Firsthand.
Oh yeah, but like I said, there could be, and that was I think part of Chile. I'm sure there's inlands, but according to I think Google it themselves, the average elevation of Antarctica is 5,000 feet above sea level.
Yeah, they were really high up, man. They were high up.
Yeah, there was no ice wall.
And there's no wall. And they weren't
flyover.
in Chile. Like they streamed the entire thing.
We didn't stream it. We recorded it and published it.
Okay, sorry, my mistake. They recorded the video from multiple cameras, all of which I think are I don't know how many you did it from, but there are a lot of cameras. You can follow the whole thing from when they left Chile going south.
Red Cloud, I have a question for you. I have some video of. Thank you guys. I have a question, Red Cloud. Have you seen some of the video evidence of the ice plateaus from Antarctica?
What do you mean? Where the ice shelf breaks off at the sea?
Yeah,
The images I've seen, which has been claimed to be the ice wall, is just where the glaciers break off in the sea.
I'll post a picture from I think BBC. One moment.
Steve Ross's website. He had on his website. He had pictures of large cliffs that he claimed were part of the ice wall thing around the perimeter of the Earth. And I looked up a reverse image search and found it was actually Bunga Cliffs in Australia. So
nice.
Yeah,
it's
and ice flows in water, so that ice wall would not be fastened to land. It would just be floating in the sea.
Red Cloud, do you have access to the chat?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just dropping it in right now. This is from BBC.
Yeah, it's a plateau. It's not an ice wall. An ice wall is only effective.
You can take a look. But
an ice wall is only effective to hold in the water that is the claim. If it's around the entire perimeter, you can't have any breaks at all in an ice wall. Otherwise, the water would exit.
What you want to do, if you want to prove there's an ice wall, what you want to do is get in a boat and then go to the ice wall and then just head straight for the ice wall. When you hit it, turn right and then just keep going. And if you go a certain if you keep going for 2 months or whatever, that's your ice wall, because that's about how long it'll take you to get around it. Then you can prove there's an ice wall around the perimeter of the Earth.
I think Eden is taking.
I'm not presenting this as proof. It's just evidence.
Eden, are you taking the position?
Problem.
Are you taking the position?
Problem is it?
Go ahead.
No, just ice in water floats.
Are you taking the position
So
that when
if there was a
MC2
because if there was an ice wall, water would flow freely beneath the ice.
That's true. Are you taking the position that when MC Tune, he posted a time lapse up there, but when he and the others shot 24-hour footage circling them completely, are you taking the position that the sun went beyond the outer perimeter of the ice wall due south of them? Is that the claim, I guess?
Not yet. I'm still doing research. I've just been really busy.
Have you considered that?
Yeah, that's why I did mention the TFEs. I'm still looking into it though. Thank you.
That's fair. It would be impossible to actually happen, I guess, the way that it seems to have been presented in their footage if the Earth has an outer perimeter of an ice wall. I would assume you would agree to that.
Well, yeah. I'm gonna pull up the off the graph projection. Have you seen it? Icy spin?
No, I don't. I might have. Okay. I've probably come across it, but go ahead.
That's okay. I'm just gonna drop it. This is an interesting one.
I don't think I've seen this.
Supposedly, it's the most accurate I don't know on what
This sounds
on
like
how they
some
were trying to
awake
explain that.
souls type stuff. Is that right?
No, it's from a
What's
Japanese
the point?
Japanese
What's the point of
individual.
this?
Ronnie James Dio.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
guy.
I've been here for nearly five minutes, and I'm still waiting to see what our argument or conversation's about.
It sounds like Terry, you
What's
might
this
be in
about, Eden?
you might be in Australia. If you look south, you're not next to Antarctica, right? I don't think you are, Terry.
Well, I'm closer to Antarctica than the guys over in the northern hemisphere.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, what's the point, Eden? I'm sorry.
Oh, I know. I was asking Shubo the other night what his favorite map was in his experience of traveling the world, and I was just asking him if he's heard about this, and I like to ask other people if they've heard about it. It's an interesting projection. I just found it the other day. But anyways, you guys, it's about 3:30 a.m. I'm probably just gonna hang out for a little bit longer. Just a heads up. If you had any questions, I'm here.
Well, can
But
you
I'll probably be
explain?
signing off.
Can you explain the map, the orthograph, or you haven't looked into it?
Well, no, supposedly it's being claimed that it's one of the most approximate. I'm just looking into that claim.
Besides the actual.
It's just that it distorts the water instead of the land.
Yeah.
Oh, so the continents stay the same size, that the water's all distended.
Approximately, yeah.
So I'm
Interesting.
gonna try some flight maps and all that good stuff when I get
Yeah,
through
let
that.
me look at that. Look at the distance. If you were to imagine that was a flat map of flat Earth, then the distance between Sydney and Santiago would be still way off. But both Australia and South America are much closer to their actual shape.
This is a Pac-Man map. It has to be, right?
It is. Yeah, you got a Pac-Man up and down and left and right.
Yeah, naturally.
Who was the bearded chappie who was into the Pac-Man? Who was that? The British.
Jason.
Dasnez.
Yes.
Darren Nesbitt.
Nesbitt, yes. Mrs. Nesbitt.
That's my favorite flat Earth map, the diamond map that's got Pac-Manning on both sides, and yeah. At least it gets the equator straight, which is pretty easy to test.
Yeah, Coco has a pretty good question in chat. She's asking, where's the ice wall on this orthograph projection? Eden, you mentioned the ice wall, but you also posted this.
Yeah. So I'm thinking I'm just gonna have to take a look and see. I think there's got to be some sort of boundary to the water. From my last research into this, there was one biblical preacher who presented evidence how the prophets mentions winters at the ends of the world and mountains, and so I'm just looking into those claims and whatnot.
But on this one here, if you went from the Horn of Africa and went straight west, you'd fall off the end of the Earth, and then you could see what gender the turtle was.
Oh dear, that sounds bad.
Well, we still haven't figured out what the gender of the turtle is yet.
Well,
Still been done by now.
Does anyone remember? Does anybody remember? It's just.
Yeah. Can I ask Eden a question? Have you heard about the bathymetry measurements around the Antarctica? Where they basically map the seafloor?
No, I don't think so. Sounds interesting.
No, yeah, you should look into it. And the project is still going on. So in fact, they're making a seafloor map of the topography, which
Is there
gives
any
give a very good indication that there is no ice wall, there is no outer ring.
Oh, okay.
Unless, of course, they are fooling us with another fake map or measurements.
Yeah, is this in the north you were saying, Stefan?
No, Antarctica.
Oh, okay, thank you. Supposedly they're finally getting fiber optic cables there, if not already.
I don't think there's any yet, but
Yeah.
there's plenty. But even that, yeah, funny you mention that. If you go by all the cables, undersea cable, which there is on Earth, and there's plenty of them, and you use the length of those, that does not fit the flat Earth at all.
It sounds like there must have been some arguments from the globe side that were just not compelling to you. Or am I reading that right?
Well, okay, my journey was initially I watched this documentary on the moon landing, so I went to my friends, and I was a huge fan of NASA, so I didn't jump on, like, I didn't even hear about flat Earth yet, so I just went to my friends and I was like, hey guys, I don't think we went to the moon, and then one friend says, I don't even think Earth goes around the sun. So I thought literally in my head, instantly he was insane. So I wanted to take a step backwards, and then I kind of left the conversation. I went home, did some research. I found the principle where it seems like there's some sort of evidence that we are in a special place. And then I think I discovered the flat Earth videos, and then I just started researching from there. So I think what happens for me is when I just by then like I already looked into 9/11, and I kind of felt betrayed by the government. So I'm a little more skeptical of the claims. I understand that if people don't get it, but
No, that makes sense.
so
It
I was
sounds like kind of other conspiracies kind of funneled you to
yeah, probably
Yeah,
time.
it sounds like you went in a bucket and just threw everything in, and you've got to pick one thing out. You can't just have everything.
Well, yeah, I don't expect everyone to believe it. It depends on how much research they've done on each topic, and I'm not going to make like judgments about anyone. But so yes, I think I was a little bit more primed to see and be aware of deceptions, global deceptions. So when I discovered the flat Earth evidence, I saw it as compelling, and then I realized, okay, wait, if we didn't go to the moon potentially during Nixon, then this evidence that is the first time in the history of mankind to confirm it from space from a distance is not true. And I suspended my judgment about the globe, and then I found out evolution might not be true. So I studied evolution very deeply. In fact, I was so well studied that I actually met a biology professor, Kasha, who graduated with honors and is a professor, and we had a 2 week debate. It was amazing. But
one
yeah,
thing I
and
see
then
a
I studied
lot.
the Bible.
I see a lot is
Yeah.
sort of on both sides, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. But do you think most of what has influenced your decision and this and your other conspiracies, whatever you want to call them, do you think that it's influenced from the same side, or do you think that you give equal opportunity to be influenced by people that aren't in an echo chamber?
Yes, that's why you'll see me here. I went to modern day debate, then I went to Globe Gangsters for at least maybe 3 months. Then I went to Earth Awakenings for maybe 3 months, and then now I'm here. Probably not too much longer. I'm going to take a vacation soon.
Can anyone please tell me what happened to Earth Awakenings? Because I was in there.
I know, right?
Michael, do you happen to know? Because no one will tell me. I'm just very nosy, curious.
Are you asking me?
Yeah, just curious because you said something went down.
Yeah.
What went down?
I don't know a ton, but so Geo had been increasingly more like harsh on modding, and would dissenters would get bans and muted and stuff, and it was across the board. There's like Brian Leakey was blocked, and so it was of course primarily Globers, but it was also a lot of flat earthers. And after a few times on a flat earth run Discord, flat earthers getting blocked a lot tended to leave. So, and then I think I don't know exactly who, but apparently like Geo wound up modding a whole bunch of people that were a selection of people that were like pro censorship, kind of like too heavy handed on the modding. So I guess it kind of imploded, and people were looking for a different place to go.
Okay, that's all. All right, good. Thank you for that.
Well, I didn't get the memo for that one.
It was generally speaking, I thought he was fairly moderate, if you pardon the pun. From my experience, so I was surprised to see it fold like that.
It mustn't have happened on my watch. It must have been a different time.
Yeah.
The times I've been there, I'm fairly lenient with modding, and I haven't really had too many issues. So must be a different time period.
So Eden, I did have like a kind of a follow up to you were mentioning that TFE was sort of kind of one of the better pieces of what you would consider globe evidence. Was what was most what was the thing that kind of like you're still kind of scratching your head about? Was it the fact that you didn't see like that you did see the 24-hour sun? Did that have nothing to do with it? What was specific?
That probably had a little bit to do with it. The other would be the southern rotations, but I believe that could be explained with the bipolar electric field. What else was it? Uh, I think
So not really the
probably.
fact that you saw the 24-hour sun.
Electric fields don't change light. Light.
Yeah, I was going to.
Yeah, light is the messenger particle for electromagnetic fields. So if it was self-modifying, then it would be an absolute mess.
Thank you. I was just referring to potentially it could be a dual rotation in the firmament. But for I'm trying to think what it was for the TFE that really makes it the most probably one of the better ones for the globe. The sun probably has to do a lot with it. I forget what the major points were.
Did you see the prediction that Janusz Takis worked out with MC Toon? It was only, I think it was a 2-minute video. It was the sundial that they did in Antarctica. Did you happen to see that?
I may have seen it briefly. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Oh, I don't recall it actually. No, I don't recall it. But I've seen a few, pretty much the other 24-hour time lapse videos and stuff like that. Pretty cool.
I think what was particularly
I even chatted with Jaron.
Interesting was the fact that MC Toon presumably hasn't been to Antarctica before. I hold that to be true. And he was able to, and yet he was able to make this prediction well in advance, and then actually shoot footage of it. That was sort of remarkable, in my book.
Was that your double? Was it Michael that went there?
No, it was.
He's still there.
Janusz made the predictions. I printed out the paper, brought it there, set up the sundial, put the chunks of snow spaced by the correct angle and the correct distance for where the shadow would fall, based on a height of the tripod that we had figured would be something that would be a reasonable height, 165 centimeters. So, and then it took hours and hours to set up where these blocks were, and then just hit record and walked away for 24 hours, and the shadows fell right on the chunks of snow.
That's got to be satisfying when that happens.
Yeah, it
absolutely to be so sure and spend so much time, and if all that time goes to the environment itself.
Yeah, I remember when because it'd been running for hours, but I remember when I set it up and we drove away, and I'm not going to come back until tomorrow morning. Like just thinking, well, that camera's recording and nobody's there for the next whatever number of hours.
Yeah.
And having zero concern about whether or not it would match.
Oh, really? That's beautiful.
Has it been documented or explained for the time that you arrived there, for where the sun was actually in the sky for its cycle from when it started for the 24-hour sun's observation? That's something I've been wondering.
What was the question?
When you arrived there, it'll be at a certain time. I don't know what time you'd use for the time of day for when the sun's in a certain part of the sky. And then for the 24-hour sun to take place, it has to be opposite.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So we got our bearings and figured out which direction was which. We used GPS, which we had tested in Punta Arenas. where Critical Think took the GPS and then walked, staying on the same line of longitude, some distance away, and then we just drew a line between where he started and where he ended, and that's a north-south line then. So we did that in Punta Arenas and tested it, and it worked perfectly because right at local solar noon, the shadow fell right on that north-south line. So we did the same thing in drug a line in the snow to get north-south. So that was our beginning. And so then we knew which way was due south, and we knew what time due south would be, what time the sun would be at due south at 2:36 a.m. And so, and the guides are like, well, that way south, and they just kind of give us a general direction, and it was right. So yeah, it was, the time of day is really the key thing, because that's opposite of local solar noon is local solar midnight, and the sun was up.
Yeah, that's what I was trying. Sorry, I couldn't verbalize it correctly.
Yeah.
What I was meaning.
What predictions did Jaren and Austin or the others bring?
Nothing.
Did you know that, Eden?
Oh, sorry, I was just responding to a message here. Jaren's findings?
Well, it sounds like they didn't make any
predictions. There were no flat earthers that made any predictions whatsoever.
Oh, yeah, darn.
No, I never heard of any.
I went to Earth Awakening server specifically to ask them to give me any predictions. I brought along the predictions that I did using geometry and the claims of flat Earth, and presented them there, and said, hey, if I'm getting this wrong, I don't want to straw man you, please correct me. Nobody corrected me, but nobody produced any predictions of their own. I just applied geometry to flat Earth claims and got predictions.
Yeah, I didn't even get an answer from Whitsett that he was going to take a torch with him or not.
I was in the server when Mike was in there, and I can vouch. They had nothing.
Maybe a surveyor.
I would be
Theodolite
upset.
would have been.
Yeah, I would have been upset if I was a flat earther and the Flurfs, the flat earthers on the trip didn't have any predictions.
That's
Yeah, they should have had
sorry to
cameras.
interrupt, but there was one experiment that I don't know if anyone would have done, or if it would have been worth it if you had your compass that was for the northern hemisphere to take down there to show the difference if you had a southern compass, if there was any discrepancies.
I did bring my northern hemisphere compass, and it bottomed out. But like you can tip it so that the gimbal lets the tip not be bottomed out. So when I did that and let it move freely, they all pointed the same direction.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was always wondering that one.
Yeah, I'm surprised Jared and Austin, they didn't have 2 cameras each. I mean, I would have found maybe like...
They both had a P900. Jaren's is infrared modified, so it wasn't super useful. Austin's was normal, and I think he brought a solar filter. And then they both had GoPros.
Yeah, pretty good.
Jaren ran his like all the time we were in Antarctica. I don't know what Austin did. I don't know if I ever saw any footage from his. Austin brought his Insta360, which he didn't test ahead of time. It did not work. Lisbeth brought a GoPro, which she could not get working. Jaren brought a camera that's on a mount that tracked with the sun. I think he got about 12 hours worth out of it before it stopped tracking correctly.
Yeah, what do you think about the way that Jaren's been sort of beat out of the cult, Eden? Do you have a position on? Do you think that that's appropriate? Do you think he's a shell? Do you not have an opinion?
I have 4 Italian brothers-in-laws, so they're religious as well. So I'm not going to judge someone for their belief. I'm supposed to there's a parable in the Bible called the unmerciful servant or the unforgiving servant. So we have to be merciful to everyone. I mean, I could be wrong. I don't think I am, but I'm not going to judge people on how they examine evidence.
That's fair.
I just found
I
it interesting
appreciate
that Witsit is still a flat earther, I think.
it. I found it more interesting that Jaren is now a Glober, don't you?
Not really. I didn't. Doesn't surprise me. I would have been more shocked if Austin flipped.
Well, yeah, because he lies. I don't know. I think that's something that should be taken into account. I'm sure you've thought about it. Like, man, Jaren, like he has a huge following. How could he do this to himself? Surely he isn't doing it because he enjoys the negative press.
Yeah, I'm not sure. If, I'm still looking into this. It's called the Ash conformity experiment, where people will be in a room surrounded by actors lying, and they'll be shown 3 different lengths of line, and they'll be asked which one is the longest. And despite being obvious, 3 out of 4 went against their obvious senses. So I don't know if that's a factor. But another example is you can have 2 people looking at the exact same evidence and come to wildly 2 different conclusions. One example would be the people on the globe side. You have 2 Globers, they've examined the evidence. You have 2 PhDs, right? Dr. Faulkner is a young Earth creationist. And then I observed, I'm not going to say his name, but there was another PhD in here who called him a crackpot. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So you're going to have disagreements on both sides, the globe side. It's just, I'm not going to make judgments on people. I know, I think I've been given insight to why people make certain judgments, but I'm not going to judge them.
Yeah. But why did the other PhD call him a crackpot? Could that be because he is a young Earth creationist? Still, it has nothing to do with the shape of the Earth. Yes.
I hope not.
Yeah. No, that's why.
So Jaren obviously
Not
weighed
due
out
to the
the
shape of Earth.
he weighed out the options and he said, "Look, I can either continue doing this, and there's probably an end in sight, or I can lie and flip to the globe." It seems to be. I'm trying to put myself in the mindset. That seems to be the two options.
Yeah, I would want to know in Antarctica situation who were the actors.
Right. Yeah. So how did you conclude? I guess maybe you haven't concluded that Jaren's either a good actor or a bad actor, maybe.
No. I've interacted with him many times on YouTube. We had maybe like a 3-hour video together where I was invited on. I think it was Sovereign Soul, and we were showing a professor of physics and a mod from MDD, the Nat Geo and PBS deception. So I mean, I've interacted with Jaren for a lot. And in fact, he would allow me to message him, and he would respond within minutes, generally on Telegram. He even read my intro to my book and gave me some good feedback. So I really appreciate Jaren. I'm not going to judge him for switching. I was just kind of like shocked how. But yeah. I don't.
So he's
I'm
not lying.
gonna make judgments.
He's just mistaken. Best case, but worst, whatever case.
Well, yeah, like just like I said, when you can have 2 PhDs look at the same evidence, but one will say there's a God and one will say there is no God. Who's right?
But as far as evidence, you said that the magnetic theory that you had mentioned is the kind of the only compelling thing that could really kind of keep this alive for you, or there's others, I guess.
No. I shared evidence of what I believe is evidence. People think it's weak evidence. I've shared evidence of the firmament.
No, I mean, as it relates to TFE, I guess. Like I know you mentioned that you said that there's some sort of explanation for what the sun did in Antarctica involving magnets or something to that effect. I think that was what you had mentioned.
Yeah, potentially. Like so. Now that it appears that there is a 24-hour sun, then we could just have the ambipolar electric field, and if I'm not mistaken, it can create a dual rotation. Opposing. I can drop that information. One moment.
Electric fields don't cause light to do that. It can't.
No. It does feel a bit ad hoc, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's just putting words in front of things,
right?
To be consumed by a person that doesn't know how to apply those words.
I think the best evidence for the 24 hours on is, in fact, that the globe side had a hypothesis which was confirmed, while the flat Earth didn't have any, and then they afterwards hoc tried to rationalize or put in an explanation after the observation is done. Everyone could do that. Anyone could just
Well, there are
get
two.
a measurement of some sort
But
and
look at it like
then try to explain it the way they want to. You have to come up with a hypothesis and try to either falsify it or confirm it. That's really good evidence.
And then the key to that is doing the hypothesis first, not afterwards.
Yeah, that's
I
good
still have
science. That's a good
hypothesis.
approach to science, if you ask me. But go ahead, Eden. Sorry.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so I still hold to the hypothesis of a firmament and an ice wall. So I'm still looking into it. I don't expect you guys to believe it, or I'm still doing my own research. But thank you for your feedback and questions, guys.
I've got one question for you, Eden. When you do this research and you look into flat Earth explanations, are you going to the globe and looking into those? Like you said about maybe electric fields, but are you going to the globe and looking into how electric fields do interfere with light? Are you absorbing both sources of information or just one?
No, you have to absorb everything, and then you can't just dismiss evidence. So that's why I try to engage with PhD holders. That's why you'll see me here, trying to engage with the experts, the scholars. I don't, yeah. So I try to review what people share.
I think Mike, don't you have an electrical engineering background? What I thought.
Yeah, I did study that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So my expectation from you, Eden, having that explanation and that intellectual response from someone with a degree, would be to then follow that degree to the explanation of how that interferes with light, and go down that route, and not just go back to flat Earth explanations and straw men's. Look into the mechanics of those fields.
So when you mention these fields and light, what are you referring to, please?
You had an explanation of maybe, what was it, electric fields can interfere with the light and create this other way of rotation? Yeah, the very thing you just posted, sort of thing.
There's that, and then, one moment, and there's other... I wasn't referring to the sunlight. I was referring to the stars embedded in the firmament.
But
Okay, well,
you base
you
all this.
still need an explanation for the sunlight because it went the wrong way for what you believe in.
All of this argument is based on a satellite.
Yeah, it was confirmed by a satellite orbiting the globe.
Yeah, you can't have it both ways. You can't deny space and the firmament to be there and at the same time use an argument based on a satellite.
It was a rocket. No,
first
Stefan,
law.
it was a rocket. It was a rocket, not a satellite.
It doesn't matter, does it? How far up did it go?
I forgot. Maybe they claim 400 kilometers. Maybe I'll have to double check.
477
I'm just getting ready for bed, though. It's 4 a.m.
768 kilometers. So much higher than the Blue Origin flight, which was just 62 miles.
Eden, you don't believe in evolution, right? That's my understanding, no?
Not anymore. No, I used to. In fact, when I first heard it, Kent Ham mention it, challenging it, I scoffed.
Yeah, well, doing things like this, right? Like taking in a piece of information that affirms one thing you want to believe, but also says about hundreds of mile high rockets, right? It's like if you had read, they have confirmed that Jesus existed through evolutionary research and information. But you can't have both. You can't just say, I'll just take this bit, but I'll ignore the bit I don't want.
Can I explain why? Can I rebut, please?
Yeah?
Okay. Now, put yourself in the shoes of the military. You have enemy nations, right? Perhaps. Are you saying that every scientific release, even though you've already modernized to the 2012 Smith month Modernization Act where you can disseminate propaganda? Okay, with that in place, do you really expect me to believe 100% of all news releases? Yes or no?
Okay, but what you're saying there.
Your
Hold on,
citation
yes or no?
is from a rocket.
Hold on, can you know?
I understand what
Can
he's
you
saying.
answer,
What
please?
he's saying is that the bits he doesn't like is propaganda, but the other bit he likes isn't.
Okay,
That's
can you
what you're
answer my?
saying.
Yep.
Yeah, you
Yep.
asked me a
Cherry
question. Can you
picking.
answer my question, please? I gave you enough respect to answer your question. I'm not going to force you to answer. I'm going to ask it one more time. With the fact that the government, United States government, admittedly disseminates propaganda, do you really expect me to believe 100% of everything that's released? Yes or no?
I do not know. I don't expect you to
Thank
believe
you.
it all. But in that
Thank you.
action, you are cherry picking what you want to believe from it because it's
Okay.
Have
superman.
a
Well,
consistent
thank
standard
you
of
for answering my
evidence.
question. Just think of it as an investigator. Everyone's doing their own investigations. Every investigator might come to different conclusions. Okay, I'm not going to judge you what conclusions you get to, but thank you for your questions.
Toon, if the sun would have set in Antarctica, would you still be a glober?
No, I don't think so.
Me?
Oh, who is that for someone else?
Yeah, MC Toon. If the sun had set in Antarctica,
If the sun had matched flat Earth predictions, then I would follow that evidence.
In fact, you think you had a video ready to release if that were the case. Is that right?
I did. I had it. I played it for Jaron and Austin. I didn't send it to anybody. I wanted them to see it with their own eyes so they couldn't record it and then share it later or something.
Yeah, I see spin. I've spoken to someone here. She's a female. I'm not going to name names. I asked her if there is a 24. If there is no 24-hour sun, would she still be a glober? She said yes.
Oh, I believe you. I'm sure they're out there, but I think the point is, I mean, it sounds like pretty much every creator that is in our space that has any significant following put their channel on the line. As far as I know, I don't believe any flat earthers in the creator space committed to such.
Yeah, Jaron.
He put his channel on the line. Is that what you're saying?
No, nobody did before. Like I said before I went, I made a commitment.
Right.
That I would do it. I offered to read a script. Any of the 24 that were invited could provide for me a script to read, and I'd read it. None even gave me a script. They were so confident that the sun would do circles that they didn't even send me a script.
I find that interesting.
I see spin.
Yeah.
Do you see the photo that I posted in the chat? I tagged you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see it.
That's the very first photo recognized by U.S. Congress of the midnight sun in Antarctica. This is 1910, 1911. So, I mean, this information has been, out there since it's been longest. For me, the final experiment was the moon landing. But because I don't believe that, I'll just suspend my belief in the globe.
Wait a second. So if the sun had set in Antarctica, the final experiment would be super important, right? But since it didn't,
potentially
it's
then,
kind of.
Yeah, it potentially would have, I guess, had some sort of evidence for the AE. But I guess everyone has to remember the AE is just a globe projection.
I guess what I'm asking is, you're saying that TFE is largely irrelevant. I think you're saying that at this point.
Well, no. Well,
because we
it's
knew it.
up
Because
there.
we already
I'm
knew
still
that.
trying to research it. So I don't know if my answers were sufficient for you. I'm sure other people who have you've spoken with in the past have been able to articulate it with much more technicality. I just haven't done. I've been so busy. Yeah, but I'm looking into it. But I really appreciate your questions and your patience. Your patience. I would love to pick your brain as well, but I've got to get ready for bed. It's almost 4 a.m. Maybe we can adjourn this and we can continue next time I'm on. I'm usually here every day.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the chat for sure. I appreciate your time too.
Thank you as well.
I guess
if you have any questions,
the last thing
go ahead.
I would say is it is your position with flat Earth falsifiable in your mind? Is it falsifiable, or is it?
Yes.
Okay, so it is. Okay. And what is it that would falsify it for you personally?
I guess the most right off the top of my head is if the creator showed me and then I saw it with my own eyes after this life or during this life. Alternatively, I've been asking for the Globers. Is there an uncut video from Earth to far enough away showing the ball in space? It doesn't exist according to everyone I've asked. They say this video doesn't, this literally doesn't exist despite 4 countries going to the moon and one recently and America going there. I find that suspicious and I believe because of the firmament. So that's why. But yeah, it would be falsifiable if there was a unaltered video that I thought was real
What if
showing that
someone
uncut.
what if someone you knew went to, I don't know, say the edge of space, and told you that they saw the curve? You would say, no, bro, you're wrong. Or so it has to be.
Oh, good question. Okay, if they're Christian, I would probably just ask as many questions as I can. Hopefully, they would have had evidence, like had their cameras with them, and then they could show me everything. I would probably, yeah. There's when you have someone that you're attached to and you trust, then you're probably more inclined to accept their testimony. But
If you were to
yeah,
give
there
up
would
flat
be a
Earth,
lot.
if you were to give up flat Earth, what else do you lose? Do you lose other conspiracies that you hold to be true?
Uh, I don't. I don't think so. I think even on a globe, let's say if I go back to the globe, I'm not going to go back to evolution until that is settled. Uh, I don't believe in aliens. I've looked into that. I used to both before flat Earth. I believed in aliens. I even listened to this one guy who claimed he was in the military, and the military told him that he was half alien, half human. I kind of fell for that, and then.
I think that's
But
a different like when you bring up aliens, I don't really want to harp on it, but I don't believe in aliens in so much as I don't really have evidence for aliens. I believe that they probably exist to a very high degree. But is that what you mean, or do you mean that you're taking the stance like they can't exist or whatever?
well, in a biblical cosmology, I don't think they would exist because this would be the only uh, realm, I suppose. Alternate, the explanation is they're just fallen angels and demons masquerading as. I have evidence for this. According to this Edward Snowden, if we were to take his word, he said on Joe Rogan, he had access to all networks, CIA, military. If I'm not mistaken, I'll post this quote from his book. He said that there's no evidence of the aliens' contact, and Joe Rogan was kind of disappointed. We can take that at face value, and then I also have corroborating evidence from Dr. Jocelyn Roslin. She was the secretary to Werner von Braun. She's the alien thing is just a deception. So I could give up the globe, but I don't think I'd go back to evolution because I believe the creator could create a globe, and but not but I don't believe the evolution. I think I would still believe in a young Earth.
So
I have evidence for that as well.
in your mind,
Yeah.
kind of without saying it, you think that the shape of the Earth is somehow loosely tied to evolution, or the fact that we may be older than 6,000, 7,000 years. Is that fair to say? Like you think that those two are sort of kind of together, and you don't want to give up one without the other, or something?
Well, they're still hotly contested. Like you'll have Dr. Faulkner argue, and he has a PhD, argue for a young Earth. So when I see really intelligent men and women arguing for a position and having credible, in my opinion, credible evidence, I think it's kind of really interesting. So whereas I don't see that sort of evidence for the evolution side, despite I've listened to it all. I've debated a professor who
Yeah.
graduated with honors.
I didn't
Yeah.
necessarily mean the topics in and of themselves. I just meant that it's sort of probably kind of a thing that you feel more comfortable in your belief of the flat Earth with the fact that there's a creator, and you feel like that might be thrown into question if you were to let go of flat Earth in a way, or you might have to look at it more closely or something, and that's kind of uncomfortable. Is that fair?
Well, yeah, it is a risk. It is somewhat of a tightrope because some people feel that if the Bible is wrong, then maybe other aspects of the Bible is wrong, right? So definitely, that's why you're gonna maybe see some Christians not want to touch it. And actually, I've interacted with them. I'm not gonna name their names, but they don't want to get involved with that because they think that might be dangerous. But I think it's very important.
Are you aware that there are a very, very large number of Christians that believe that Earth is a globe, a sphere?
Yeah. Yes. I believe why is because of the Vatican, if I'm not mistaken, and the Vatican and all their entities.
What about the Christians that have never looked into the Vatican? Those people that believe in.
Oh yeah, we live in a modern society where we're just inundated with globe.
They just haven't
The globe
found
idea.
the stuff that you've found, or some evidence of the truth that's being hidden from the rest of us, or whatever.
Yes, because there's two on a surface level. Let's say if you're a non-believer, they would argue, like because I hear this on the flat Earth side, they would argue that it's a knowledge is potential power, and these people who are vying for assets and resources with enemy nations, they don't want to be just giving up this free knowledge. So what they'll do is they'll have their enemies going off, putting them behind the ball, so to speak, and then.
But I guess
So
have you considered that you could give up flat Earth and not even look at evolution? Like for instance, like you could study that another day, but they're not really intrinsically tied together, or they may not be. You might be mistaken on your thought that they are. Have you considered that?
Yes, and that's why I debate it. I look at it like this: it's just a branch off of the tree. First, you have the tree is the globe, and then a branch is evolution. Another branch is races. Another branch is racism. In the biblical model, there are no races. It's just mankind.
Well, what about the Tower of Babel? That's kind of a thing, right?
That's an interesting one. Yeah, I'm still studying the Bible. When I shifted focus, I was my friends instructed me to start with Matthew, and then I was just doing a lot of geography and geology and history and archaeology. But I'm still studying the Bible. But yeah, go ahead.
I have a small question for you. I'm aware that you want to get to bed as well. Are you completely against the idea that God has created an entire universe for humanity to be the only species to eventually explore it all?
That's another cool idea. No, I'm not. I'm not closed-minded to that. Not at
I
all.
appreciate that.
Thank you. Yeah, I think he could do it for sure. He can do anything.
Well, yeah, I appreciate you answering my questions, and I appreciate the chat and everyone else who
You're welcome,
participated.
guys. Sorry if I've ever interacted with you in the past and I've maybe gone was insensitive.
It's all good fun. I enjoy it. It's fine. I get it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Same on this side.
You're welcome. I hope you guys have a great night, rest of the day, and yeah, hopefully we'll continue later. Thanks for your patience, guys.
Yep. Good night. And I'm probably gonna drop off too, you guys. So appreciate it.
Yeah, Toon's gone to bed as well.
Yeah.
Damn time zones. We could all play together forever if it weren't for time zones.
I know, right? Yeah.
Oh, I'm still going all right.
Yeah, you guys are
Middle of the afternoon.
you guys are into tomorrow from where I'm at, basically.
No, it's an evening here, actually.
6 or 7 p.m. 13 or 14 hours.
6, yeah, 10. Well, past the hour, it's the same, but at the hour is 6.
You and PhD Tony play rock paper scissors on the weekend, I'm sure. But anyways, yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm gonna head off to bed too, guys. Y'all have a good night.